This is Jason Spangler, the SanteeSwapper, back with another unboxing, and this one is actually pretty cool, I have to say. I spoke to this lady while I was in the Denver airport, getting ready to fly back from the National Order of the Air conference just a week ago. When I got home, just a couple of days later, this box showed up. There's some really cool stuff in here I want to share with everyone, especially sharing the history. Spoke to her for over 30 minutes in the airport about her husband's story, not only his story in scouting, but more about his story in life. And this guy was a very successful executive of one of the major airlines at the time. She didn't want me to get into too many details in the unboxing about his career, but he was kind of a known person, and she really credits a lot of his success to scouting. A really sharp guy, grew up in West Virginia, where all my relatives are from. And she met him when he was off in graduate school, and they got together, and the rest is history. So let me show you the collection because, again, one of the purposes of my channel is to share the history of this scouting memorabilia with younger people. I know that just recently at that National War of the Air conference, I was blessed to meet a lot of young people who had an interest in scouting memorabilia. Almost 200 of them subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I hope some of them will see this video and perhaps even leave some comments. So I'd love to see that. Tell a friend, as they always say, subscribe and tell a friend, right? Isn't that the go-to thing on YouTube? So, all right, show you guys what we've got. So, right off the top, the first thing you're going to see is not scouts. I buy collections from a lot of older people, and especially this guy got his eagle in the 1940s. Especially this generation of young person would have had relatives who fought in World War II and served in the military. A lot of people, men especially and women, served in the military during that time period, and these were the type of souvenirs they would bring back. So after she and I talked, had this whole conversation about the scouting memorabilia. Then later on, she mentioned that she had found a box of military patches that belonged to his family that people had given him, and so we included that in on the collection. So, having said that, I don't have all of these memorized, these unit patches. Like, I'm sure somebody watching this video can tell me that's the Fifth Air Force. This and that. I mean, I can tell this is probably the seventh um, division, of the armored Seventh Armored Tank Division. That's the third, and but luckily, we live in the age of the internet, right? It is so easy to use an app called Google Lens to just snap a picture of a patch like this that doesn't have any writing on it, and it will tell you exactly what it is. So that's what I will do with these patches here, which let me just kind of get them out of the way to get to the scout patches, is I will just simply use Google Lens, tip for anybody watching, and that will tell me what these are, and then I can go and sort them and kind of make sense of these military patches. So it's sort of, military patches are sort of adjacent to scouting memorabilia, and would make perfect sense that someone who grew up in scouts would have family members who served in the war. So again, I want to show you this cool stuff. So this is a wool beanie cap. It's actually got two of them here. So if you were, I don't, most of you might know this, maybe you don't. Cub Scouts starts as a program of the BSA in 1930. And so this guy was a scout from the 40s, and so he probably in the late 40s, or sorry, early 40s, maybe late 30s, was a member of the Cub Scouts, and so that's a very early beanie. Now you couldn't really wear this today; it's like super small. But again, they didn't wear it wasn't like a full hat; it was always kind of a beanie that you wore, maybe on top. So you have that. Then here is his sash, which I will spend the most time talking about. Here's his little Cub Scout neckerchief. So, this just kind of goes to show. This one says Cubs BSA, but this yellow neckerchief was just all the way back to the beginning was the neckerchief that Cub Scouts wore. So the only, unfortunate thing is that his Eagle medal at some point got separated from his collection. And so that's unfortunate just because I would love to have everything together. So I did leave her a note and said, if you ever find it, please let me know. I'd be interested in that as well. So I have his card here, and in this little town in West Virginia, he earned his Eagle January 26th of 1950. So just kind of give you an idea. And we're going to spend a little time looking at his merit badges, which I think are very cool. There's this tiny, tiny little pocket knife here. I think this one's not a Boy Scout one, but I have seen these before as little souvenir knives from the 53 Jamboree, but that's not what this is. There's some other little cards here as well. There's a note here about membership card for the National Honor Society, and then also a little small photo of him that I can keep with the sash. And so, of course, the handbook here, this was his handbook. And if I look here and take a look at the year, it's kind of separating, which a lot of these do. These books are, if when I'm as old as this book, I'll be separating as well. But anyways, I don't want to damage it. It's a little fragile. But let me get to the sash, which is really kind of the cool, fun part. So when she showed me pictures of the sash, a couple of things jumped out, and I want to sort of share a little bit of history here. So a couple of things jumped out. One, obviously, is just how many merit badges this young man earned during the 1940s. But the other thing is, it's an interesting sash to a collector because on this sash it represents several different generations of patches, and hopefully with the camera being what it is, I'm able to kind of show you that. So first off, some of you are going to notice that some of these patches that you see here are ones that you don't really quite recognize. These designs, although, I always love playing this game with scouts, right? So any scout could tell me what this one is right here, life-saving. But what about this guy right here? What is that guy? So here's what I recommend. This book is in my reference library. It is a wonderful, wonderful book. If you are at all interested in scouting memorabilia, it's by Fred Durst Jr., Merit Badge Field Guide. I don't have this book for sale on my website, but if you go to Adam McDaniel's site, which I think is Lodge Store, one of those, he's got about 3 different Shopify's, he has it for sale. And so in here, there are color pictures of all the merit badges that have ever been issued, and it tells you when the designs changed, what different types were issued, and just kind of if they change the name, which happens sometimes. It gives you all the history, which is so interesting. So let's just flip to the A's, where we can find astronomy merit badge. So, scouts today would not recognize that design as being the design for astronomy merit badge, but back from 1911 to 1958, that was the design for astronomy merit badge, and he has it there as well. I mentioned that there's different types of merit badges here. So in Fred's book, right at the beginning, he kind of goes over what are the different types of merit badges. Some of you may have heard of square merit badges, which, by the way, are very easy to tell because they are shockingly square. So that's an easy one. And those are from 1911 to 1933. Then there's another type called wide border crimped, type B, 1934 and 35. I don't see any of those on the sash. I'd be shocked if any of those appeared on the sash. Then there's a type C, which is 36 through 46. So this type right here, there's actually several of them on this sash, which I think is pretty interesting. The type C, they had sort of a coffee tan color to them. They were not the green military color that some of these early ones were. And I know this is going to be really hard to see on this video, but let me just hold it back up here since I mentioned these two guys. So the life-saving and the astronomy are both of the type that was issued after World War II. We call it khaki, narrow crimped, and they're called type E merit badges. Now, y'all actually have a theory. Look at the bottom of the sash, how at the bottom of the sash he kind of ran out of room right here. There's no place to put a patch. And then you have these two up here by themselves. I almost wonder if these were not the final 2 merit badges that he earned. And he started off with this row right here, which might be some easier badges, and then finished up with life-saving and astronomy. Life-saving would not be the first or second merit badge that a scout would earn. As you know, that's a badge that's probably going to be earned by someone who's been in scouts for a couple of years and has the ability to pass the swimming portions of that merit badge. So what you can see is all of these right in here are this 1946 and after, basically after World War II. We call them type E merit badges. And the way you're going to be able to tell them is they have a crimped edge, which means that it's not a sewn on border like we see with modern patches. Almost all modern patches have a sewn on border. This one, if we were to take it off, which we're not, it has the material is kind of folded over or crimped over, and then it's made to fit to round, and then the parent could sew the patches on. So all of his here, like carpentry and home repairs and music, all look to be that. But as you go down through the merit badge, every once in a while you come across one that's not like the others. And so here's one right here. He has a few examples. Let me hold this one up really, really close to the camera and see if you can tell. All right, now look at that little horse right there. And many of you are going to say, oh, horsemanship. No, actually, in this period of time, that merit badge was not horsemanship. Horsemanship was a horseshoe. That was animal husbandry. And animal husbandry. Now, you might think, okay, but wait a minute, what is animal husbandry? What's all that about? Well, how do you make more animals? I'm sorry, animal industry. How do you make more animals? You breed them. So animal industry right here is a merit badge that focused on, getting the animals to make more animals through breeding. And the reason why I point this one out is this one right here, if you probably can't tell, but maybe you can. It has kind of like a tan background, and we call this sand twill or fine twill. It is a World War II issued merit badge. There's only about 85 varieties that were issued in this type, and they were issued on a different type of cloth because during the war, the heavy cloth that had been used previously was being rationed, and the scouts couldn't get it. So they had to substitute and use a finer, lighter cloth to make their merit badges. And so these are World War II merit badges. We call them sand twill or fine twills. And in his book, I believe they are going to be type, I want to make sure I don't say it wrong, type D. And so that stands out because a merit badge like animal husbandry or animal industry, I keep wanting to say husbandry, is harder to find. And also this one right here, if you can tell, this one right here is another one of these World War II issues. Now you can kind of see right next to it, there is this khaki green that is the 1946 post-war, 1946 post-war. But look at this tan one, and that one I believe is called physical development. Let me just check and see. Again, I don't want to get it wrong if I'm trying to go on the record here and tell these young people what we've got. What you see in merit badges is there's kind of a progression where merit badges kind of get folded into other merit badges. And so, as you might imagine, physical development, which was this closed fist, eventually merges into personal health, which eventually becomes personal fitness. So I know that looks a little bit, not what you're used to, but that essentially is today's personal fitness merit badge. All right, you can start to spot these. Look at this sash. Where's the next one that is a World War II issue? Right over here. Let me switch my hands here. Oh, other side. Come down, and right here we have another fine twill tan. You can see the brown. Look, compared to the green, it pops out at your eye, and that is a painting merit badge, and that is a fine twill as well. Okay, go down here, see if we see any more. Here's a couple of interesting ones. I always point these out when I'm talking about old merit badges. It's really interesting to find ones that are farming merit badges. Today, if you're a scout, there are almost no merit badges that involve farming besides plant science and animal science. Maybe there's another one mixed in there. But in the olden days, they used to have a lot more because a lot more scouts grew up on farms. And so you can see this one is poultry raising with the fowl on it. And then this one over here is going to be one of the farming. There's 4 different farming ones. I can never remember them. I apologize. But then look what we have over here. That's the masonry. All right. The other one, as you can tell, big surprise on here is this guy right here. All right. That's pretty cool. A blue merit badge. What? A blue merit badge? All right. So again, got to go back into history. And by the way, did I mention that this man's first name is Ed? I'll share that with you. That Ed had a long career in aviation. And so while he was a scout growing up in West Virginia, he earned this merit badge right here called Airplane Structure. Now, Airplane Structure was one of the 4 merit badges that came out beginning in 1942 for the Air Scout program. And so Air Scouts, whole nother video, whole nother story, was out, and there were 4 blue merit badges. And in the beginning, scouts who earned those 4 merit badges would count towards their Air Scout requirements. So those 4 badges were airplane structure, which Ed earned, airplane design, aerodynamics, and aeronautics, which we would know as aviation. Now, he did earn the aviation merit badge as well. He got the version that is sort of the green version, if you will, but that's aviation merit badge as well, which again had a whole long history, his entire adult career working in aviation. That's agriculture right there. That's lands. These are really tough merit badges. You don't see these. Dramatics. If you try to do theater merit badge even today, which is what dramatics is now called, that's a pretty tough merit badge. We thought about doing it at camp, and we were just like, oh man, it's too much. You can't really get it done. You got to do a play. You got to read all these things. No, it's too much. This one is landscape architecture. I'm not sure that's what it was called back in the 40s, but that's a really tough merit badge as well. There's forestry, and then over here there is agriculture merit badge. So all together, by the way, this one's first aid to animals, which is eventually going to become veterinary science. There are no patches on the back. So altogether, Ed's sash I think is super cool. It has a couple of neat merit badges on it, and I think it tells a great story. Um, I have again his Eagle card here that'll be with the collection, and his handbook and a picture. So this is one of those that I was just kind of thrilled to get because I really like collections that have a story. And the thing that I think Ed's story tells is that as a scout, the whole purpose of the merit badge program is to expose you to careers and possibly plant a seed for you to pursue a career. And so it's obvious that growing up in rural West Virginia, that he had that exposure to aviation, whether through an airport or somebody who was a veteran or something. I don't know, really can't say, don't know the story. But then that led him to work for one of the major airlines. An airline you would know, but again, I told his wife I would not, talk all about his personal business. So, anyways, hope that was helpful for you. Again, Jason Spangler, the SanteeSwapper. Go to my website, scoutpatchcollectors.com. There you can find everything that I'm doing in this hobby of scouting memorabilia. One thing that I'm kind of leaning more into is my mission and vision statement, which is on my website, but essentially trying to make sure that I am able to help families recycle their scouting memorabilia and make sure that the history is preserved and shared. And that's really kind of the goal of these unboxing videos, is to share the history and maybe even educate some of those younger collectors. Those of you who I met at NOAC, I doubt many of you are merit badge collectors yet. We might get you there, but there is an interesting history here with scouting merit badges and the whole history of that. And if you are at all interested in this, put this on your Christmas list. Get Fred Durst Jr.'s book, The Merit Badge Field Guide. This is the 5th edition. There might even be a 6th edition, and it'll just break it all down for you. So thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Thanks for watching the video.